Hello my sweet friends, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the 23 books that I want to read in 2023. So a bit of a 2023 TBR, I guess. I filmed one of these last year and I had a lot of fun with it, so I wanted to do another one for this year. But I also thought it would be fun to quickly go through the 22 books that I wanted to read in 2022 and tell you how many I actually read. Number one was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, which was a new release last year, and I did read that and I also really enjoyed it. Number two was actually 3 books, but they were the final 3 books that I had on Taylor Jenkins' read backlist, which was One True Loves, After I Do, and Forever Interrupted, and I read 2 out of the 3, so I couldn't fully tick this one off, but I did still like semi-achieve this. The third one was again more than one book. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I wanted to finish the Addicted/Calloway sister series, and I kind of did that. The only book I haven't read is Some Kind of Perfect, which is the epilogue novel, so I don't know if I can count this as completed or not. Number 4 was It Happened One Summer, which I did read and did not enjoy. Number 5 was ACOTAR, which you guys know became one of my favorite books of the year. Number 6 was The Poppy War, which I did read and I also really enjoyed. Number 7, Throne of Glass, another one of my favorite reads from 2022. Number 8 was The Final Gambit, which I did read and loved. Number 9 was Beautiful World, Where Are You, which I did read and enjoyed, but it wasn't a favorite. 10 was A Thousand Boy Kisses, which again I read and it made me cry. Number 11 was Song of Achilles. I did not read that. Number 12 was The People We Keep. I also did not read that. Number 13 was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I did not read this, but I would love to read this in 2023, honestly. Number 14 was The Secret History, which I did try to start reading, but I didn't really make it very far, and so I can't count this as completed, but I do also want to revisit this one. Number 15 was The Atlas 6, which I read and really enjoyed as well. 16 was Alex Approximately, again, another really enjoyable read. Number 17 was 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. I did not love this one. It was okay. Number 18, kind of similar, The Spanish Love Deception. It was okay, wasn't a favorite, but I did read it. Number 19 was another 3 books in one. I wanted to read Maybe Someday, Maybe Not, and Maybe Now, and I did not even attempt to read those books. Number 20 was Love Stories by Trent Dalton. I did read that. Number 21 was Most of All You by Mia Sheridan. I did read that and really enjoyed. And number 22 was a Mariana Zapata book. I kind of gave myself the freedom to pick which one, and I did read All Roads Lead Here and really enjoyed that one. So that one I did complete. So overall, if we include the ones that I like partly or mostly completed as well, I completed 17 out of the 22 books that I chose, which is not bad. It's not amazing, it's not perfect, but it's alright. I'm happy with it. But in saying that, I have chosen 23 books that I want to read this year, and I really want to read all of these. Like, I hope that I can complete this entire list. I'm really determined to complete this by the end of the year, and I think I can because I've chosen books that I am so excited about. I have been wanting to read for a really long time. Maybe it's an author that I already know and love, and so I'm feeling more confident in this year's list compared to last year's. But here is my little bullet journal spread. It looks like little stacks of books, which is cute. And each time I read one of these books, I'm going to color it in, so this will end up being really fun and colorful. If you want to see all of the other spreads in my reading journal, I'll link the video down below because I've done a really in-depth flip through. But let's jump into it. I'm not gonna lie, I have actually started reading some of the books on this list because it is the end of January, but I'm not going to tell you the ones I have read and the ones I haven't. I'm just going to kind of pretend I haven't read any of them yet. But for those of you who follow me on my bookstagram, you will know some of the books that I've already read or started. Number 1 on this list is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. This was an obvious choice for me when I was making this list because the 2 Crescent City books are the only ones out of Sarah J Maas's backlist that I haven't got to yet. I've read Throne of Glass and I've read ACOTAR, loved both of them. And so of course I wanted to read Crescent City as well. And so I'm really excited to read this and the sequel, and hopefully we'll get a 3rd Crescent City this year, potentially, or even an announcement. We'll see, I hope so. But this one is definitely a chunky one. Next up on this list we have Babel or Babel. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. I've heard people say it both ways. This is by R.F. Kuang, who is the author of the Poppy War trilogy. So this author, as well as Sarah J Maas, has made the list 2 years in a row, which is kind of fun. I've just heard incredible reviews about this book. I am a little bit intimidated by it because it does seem like it might be too smart for me. I definitely want to attempt it. I want to try it, and I'm really looking forward to reading the story because I think it'll be really well done. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang is so beautifully written and so beautifully crafted, so I can only imagine that this is just the same or maybe better. And this is probably probably one of my favorite books that I have on my shelf. I just think it is absolutely stunning. Next we have The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. Holly Black is the author of the Folk of the Air trilogy, which is like the Cruel Prince series, which I read last year and loved, and so of course this was a really highly anticipated release for me. Some of the books on this list actually haven't been released yet, but they're just like super highly anticipated reads for me, or like just books that I'm so excited to read, so of course I wanted to put them on my 2023 TBR. But anyway, back to The Stolen Heir. I'm really excited to pick this up because this follows Oak, who is kind of like a side character in the Folk of the Air trilogy, but I'm really looking forward to this. I love Holly Black's writing, and the characters that she created specifically in the Folk of the Air trilogy were just so good, and I'm hoping I love this one just as much. The next book I'd love to read, I don't have a physical copy of, but it is, every time I go to say this, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Caraval. In my Australian accent, I want to say Caraval, but I feel like it's Caraval or Caraval. You guys know the book I'm referring to either way. I've heard that this is a really fun fantasy trilogy. A lot of people love it, and I would also really love to read the spin-off series that comes after this, but I do want to read Caraval first. Next we have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I am so excited to read this. I'm pretty sure this is YA fantasy, a bit of romance as well. The only thing I know about this book is that it's about a girl who makes an alliance with death. Someone explain that to me. I don't quite understand, but I'm excited to find out. This is again one of my absolute favorite covers, and I've just heard so many really great reviews about this, so of course I had to add it to my own TBR. Next we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. Again, so excited for this one. So far I have not been disappointed by Emily Henry. I have either somewhat enjoyed or absolutely loved all of her 3 books that she has released in the last few years, and the premise to this one sounds so interesting to me. I'm pretty sure it's about 2 people who used to date. They have broken up, but they're pretending that they haven't broken up because they're going on a holiday with their friend group. So I'm assuming it's like kind of fake dating, but they're exes, which also makes me think it's kind of like a second chance romance, and I freaking love second chance romance, so fingers crossed that I love this one. I doubt that I'll hate it, but I guess we'll wait and see. Another book that's getting released later this year is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So from what I've gathered, this is going to be a bit of a spin-off series from the Inheritance Games trilogy. This is another author that has made the list 2 years in a row. I freaking loved the Inheritance Games series. It was in my top 10 books of 2022. I read the first 2 books in 2021, loved them, and then reread the first 2 as well as the third one when the third one was released last year. So that's how you know I love a book, is when I reread it, because I don't reread books that often. I would like to do it more this year, but I'm excited for another book in this world. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to entail. I really hope it's not a cash grab. I really hope it's still a really good story, because I feel like sometimes spin-off series are just a cash grab. Sometimes they're just kind of the authors trying to milk a bit more out of a series that was really well received by customers previously. So we'll see. I hope it doesn't ruin it for me, because it could go one of 2 ways. It could be amazing and just give us so much more depth about our characters that we already know and love, or it could just really lack substance and just be a cash grab. So we'll see. Next up we have Clockwork Angel. This is one of those series that was so popular pretty much like a decade ago, I feel like, and so it kind of feels like I'm the last person to read this, but I'm so excited to. I have heard the most incredible things about this trilogy specifically. I've honestly heard mixed things about all of Cassandra Clare's books, but the Infernal Devices, this little trilogy here specifically, I've only heard incredible things. This is urban fantasy set in the Victorian era in London, I think, but I was able to thrift this trilogy last year, and it's just been sitting on my shelf waiting for me to pick it up, and I just have very high expectations for this one. I cannot wait. I don't think I could possibly film this video without including a book from the Magnolia Parks universe. This is Daisy Hates The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. It took quite a while for me to get my hands on a physical copy of this book, and I have not read this yet, despite this series being my absolute ride or die. I think the next book in the series comes out in June, and I just hate the idea of not having a book to go to after this one. So I'll probably start this sometime soon, but I'll probably try and drag it out as long as I possibly can. But I'm so excited to read this. I love the Magnolia Parks and the Daisy Hates books equally. I know a lot of people like the Magnolia Parks books more than they like Daisy Hates, but I just think both of those characters in those books are perfect. So I'm so excited to pick this up. I also am just obsessed with this cover as per usual. Jessa Hastings has never disappointed. How beautiful, even the back. I just love this series with my whole heart. I'm gonna be devastated the day that I have to say goodbye to this world and these characters. I just love them so much. Moving on. We have The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo. This is another book that's been on my shelf for quite a while now, and it sounds like something that I would be absolutely obsessed with, so I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I love books that are like soulmate kind of love, right person, wrong time, and it's kind of like a tug of back and forth, together, not together. I love books like that. I know a lot of people don't, but I honestly do, because I feel like it just cuts you so deep emotionally, and I love any book that I can really just emotionally attach myself to. It says on the back that Lucy and Gabe meet one day in New York, and over the next 13 years they are torn apart, then brought back together time and time again. It's a journey of dreams, of desires, of jealousy, of forgiveness, and above all, love. And that just sounds like something I would absolutely adore. And I actually think I might mention this one now because it's quite similar in terms of how I think it's going to make me feel, the type of book it's going to be. But this is One Day by David Nichols, another one that I've had on my shelf for quite a while now and just have yet to pick up, and I don't know why. And this one says 20 years, 2 people. So I think it is, again, a story about people who kind of are torn apart, come back together, right person, wrong time, that kind of thing. And this one actually says, fans of One Day will love this. So it seems like these books kind of not go together, but it looks like if you like one, you'll like the other. Tell me why my camera decides to die every single time I film a video. I don't know how this happens every single time. New battery acquired. Back to business. Next we have Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. 2 Catherines, kind of fun. I honestly have no idea what this is about. Like literally not a single idea. It looks like, I'm assuming, maybe 2 girls fighting for a crown. I don't know. But there are 2 things that I know about this book. One, I have heard people say that they didn't even like fantasy until they picked up this book, and this book made them fall in love with fantasy. I've heard people say that this is one of those books that they just wish they could reread for the first time because it was just like the best book ever. And the second thing I know about this book is that the sequel comes out this year. And so I want to read it. I want to experience that, oh my gosh, I wish I could reread this for the first time kind of feeling, because that is just the best / the worst feeling ever. And I'm excited. I also just really like this cover. I think it's stunning. A book that I have on my Kindle, but I don't have the physical copy of, is Binding 13. I have heard so much freaking hype for this book. I bought this on my Kindle literally months ago, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up. The reason why I didn't buy the physical copy is because it's quite expensive to buy in Australia, but also I've seen the formatting on that book and I simply know that I would never read it. And so it seems like it's the type of book that I would only read if I read it on Kindle. The font in that physical copy looks like it is size 2. Like, I don't understand why people do that. I've heard kind of, I would say mostly really good reviews, but I've also heard a few not so great reviews as well, and I'm really intrigued to see how I feel about it. Next we have Dance of Thieves. I have wanted to read this for so long, and again, I don't know why I haven't. I've heard so many good reviews about it. It just sounds like something I would really love. I've heard that it's enemies to lovers, but like fantasy enemies to lovers, which is just so much better than contemporary romance enemies to lovers, because in fantasy, the stakes are so high, the tension is so high. It's literally like, I'm gonna kill you, but then I fall in love with you, and I love that. Is that toxic of me? I don't know, but I really want to read that duology. Then we have Bad Reputation by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is kind of part of the Addicted / Calloway sister series. It's about 2 side characters, I guess you could say, in that series, and I really like them, and I really want to read their love story. The next book we have is Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. I have read 2 books by Dolly Alderton, but they were both her non-fiction books, Dear Dolly and Everything I Know About Love, and I just absolutely loved both of those books. I really love her writing, and I would really like to see how that transfers into a fiction book. So again, very high on my list. It's been on my kind of future TBR wish list in my brain for months and months, but I really want to make sure I get to it this year. Next we have Jade City. This is the first book in the Greenbones saga, which is a trilogy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really intimidated by this trilogy, by the series. I think it's high fantasy. I've heard that it's absolutely amazing and just so well crafted, but I think one, it's gonna take me a hot sec to get into. Sometimes those high fantasy series they're just hard at the beginning. And secondly, I think it's also going to break my heart based on what I've seen it do for other people. I actually have no idea what it's about, again. Jade is the lifeblood of the city in Janloon, a stone that enhances a warrior's natural strength and speed. It is mined, traded, stolen, and killed for, all controlled by 2 families equal in their power and ruthlessness. Ooh, honestly sounds so interesting. I feel like it's just kind of outside my comfort zone, So I'm intimidated, but I'm excited. A Darker Shade of Magic. I want to read this trilogy so badly. I don't own the physical copies, but mark my words, I will be purchasing them sometime in the future. I know that this trilogy is so many people's favorites, and I don't know why I didn't even know it existed until a few months ago. It's by V.E. Schwab. I recently read Vicious by V.E. Schwab and loved it, and so I started looking into her other books a little bit more because I didn't realize that she had so many books. I knew she'd written Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, obviously, but I was just very uneducated on her backlist, and V.E. Schwab fans are like none other. The Schwab girlies are just next level, and I love them. But based on the Schwab girlies that I've seen, A Darker Shade of Magic tends to be kind of like the top of their list, like the holy grail of V.E. Schwab books, and so I want to read it so badly, and I will in 2023. I am so determined. But another romance that I have on this list is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. Another one that's been on my shelf for so long, and I've wanted to read it so many times, and I just never have, and I don't know why. It's about two people who are engaged, they're supposed to be getting married, but they made some sort of like bet or deal where if either of them calls off the wedding, that person has to pay for the wedding, or at least all the payments that are non-refundable, I'm assuming. But then I'm assuming they fall back in love. So it's like lovers to enemies to lovers, or lovers to strangers to like I don't know, but I'm excited. And again, just heard so many incredible reviews. I saw a lot of people say this is like one of their favorites, so I want to get in on that, obviously. Next we have Slow Days, Fast Company. This is an Eve Babbitt's book, and I have wanted to read an Eve Babbitt's book for a while now. I think I first heard about this author from Uncali, who is one of my favorite booktubers ever. She's a booktuber slash comedian, and her videos are just top notch, like so incredibly genius. I love her content. She's incredible. I'll try and remember to link her down below, but she's just so funny to me. And the way that I've heard her describe Eve Babbitt's makes me want to read her book so badly. I don't even know like what this book is specifically about. I think there's like old Hollywood vibes, like party girl vibes. It kind of gives me City of Girls kind of energy. I don't know. We'll see. I might hate it. I don't know. I think it'll be very different from the normal stuff that I read, but I really, really want to read it. Then we have the only book that was on last year's list that has also made it onto this year's list. And that is because I need to get this off my physical TBR. This is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, the only book in TJR's backlist that I am yet to read. And it really annoys me. There's just like one book on her backlist that I haven't got to. Like, why? That just irks me so much. It's like when you have one thing left on your to-do list and you could easily get it done and you just don't. I hate leaving things unfinished like that. So do I think this is a 5-star prediction? No, not really. I don't think I'm gonna be like obsessed with this, and I think that's why I've put it off for a while. I think it'll be fine, maybe like 3 stars if I had to guess, but I just want to be done with this. I want to be able to say I've read all of TJR's books. So this needs to happen this year. If this is still unread by the end of 2023, I'm gonna be so mad at myself. I promise we're almost at the end. I have 2 more books to talk about. The first one is 28 Summers by Ellen Hildebrand. I am yet to read any Ellen Hildebrand books, and of course I just really, really want to. Her books are not super easily accessible in Australia, or at least in the bookstores that I've been to, but I did recently find her books at my local library. So now that I know that I can get my hands on them, and for free, obviously I want to try it out for myself. I've just heard so many, again, I feel like I sound like a broken record, but I've heard so many good reviews about her books, and they just sound really, really interesting to me, so I'm excited. And the last book on this list is Zodiac Academy. I don't know whether I'm gonna love this or hate it. Based on what I've heard, it seems like it is one of those books that you either love it or you hate it. I think there are 8 books in the series. They're all quite chunky, but it just sounds like a lot of fun. A lot of people say it is like so bad that it's good, and I kind of froth that kind of stuff sometimes, so I at least want to try it. I just want to read the first book, see if it's for me. I think it's like fantasy. I think it's about 2 like twin sisters who go to some academy, I'm assuming Zodiac Academy, and they are like the heirs to something important, and people are not happy about it. That's all I've really gathered about it, but it sounds interesting to me, and I really, really want to try it. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they still are, but they used to be free on Kindle Unlimited, so I have the first book on my Kindle, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be a fun time. I might end up hating it, but I just want to give it a go. But those are all 23 books that I want to read in 2023. Of course, I want to read plenty of other books as well, but those are just a few that I've been really wanting to get to, and I just haven't got there yet. Hopefully this might have given you some books that you want to add to your 2023 TBR. And if you have any books that you think I would absolutely love, please leave me a comment down below, because I would love to continue adding books to this list, of course. But I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.